Alas, I must set you aside for now. There is another. In November of 2007, Amazon formally launched Kindle Direct Publishing, an ebook platform released concurrently with the Amazon Kindle, and the worlds of both reading and writing were changed forever. Not only was the way we consume literature revolutionized, but the way we produce it as well. Since then, anyone with an internet connection and a dream could publish whatever delirious fantasies rattled around in their feverish skulls for all around the world to read. The reason I bring up KDP is because before ebook platforms became as ubiquitous as they are now, it took a certain tenacity to self-publish. It was costly, high risk, and inconvenient, especially if you didn't have the resources to swallow the losses. Vanity publishing was and still is an option for aspiring authors willing to give up their hard-earned money for non-guaranteed returns. Side note, for anyone out there trying to get their book published, vanity publishing is not worth it. You deserve better. You deserve your money. But if you were really rich and really nutty, you could bypass the middleman entirely and publish and market your shitty books all by yourself. This is where Maradonia comes in. A name that invokes dread in the self-publishing community, and tired laughter among the chronically online. The Maradonia saga is another one of those instances where the story behind the story is 1,000 times more interesting. Maradonia is the brainchild of Gloria Tesch, a Floridian girl who released the first book in the 6-book series, Maradonia and the Seven Bridges, in 2007 at the ripe old age of 13. And you might be thinking, gosh, 13 is an impressively young age to write, much less publish, a whole-ass novel. Apparently, Gloria Tesch thought so too. For in 2009, she would take to Yahoo Answers and astroturf a campaign of posts asking who the world's youngest novelist was, while answering the question herself, with the answer being herself. It's like interrogative incest. Of course, a brief spin with a search engine disproves this self-made claim. The distinction becomes doubly glaring once you remember these authors actually secured publishing contracts instead of printing hundreds of copies at their own expense. Now you're probably thinking, how the hell did this 13-year-old girl manage this logistical and financial feat all by herself? Well, that's an easy answer. She didn't. Her parents did. Think back to when you were a child, like around the 10 to 12 range. You just read Aragon or Harry Potter or Flowers in the Attic and you were like, wow, I can be a writer too. So you started making short stories, you got extremely invested in your creative writing assignments at school, you breathlessly recounted your fantasy novel quadrilogy ideas to your parents who just nodded along with blank smiles because they had to get back to taxes or dinner or whatever it was adults did, until inevitably your short attention span caught up with you. All your half-baked projects went belly up, and that rush of passion you swore would define you fizzled away in place of some other thing. Whether or not you even picked up writing again in your life was a variable outcome. Or, alternatively, your parents became so invested in your dreams that they gassed you up and poured their own resources into building a facsimile of an image, filling your impressionable mind with delusions of grandeur and skewing your developments going forward. That is the story of Maradonia. So go ahead and grab a seat. Perhaps from this video's sponsor. These days, when both work and leisure often require us to sit down for protracted periods, few things become more important than comfy seating. As a video editor, my evenings are spent at a computer for hours on end, and amid my search for a more reliable chair, FlexiSpot reached out with a solution, the C7 Max. The FlexiSpot C7 Max is packed with features that offer high-end ergonomic support, such as an adjustable headrest, backrest, armrests, a 0.2-inch latex cushion with memory foam and customizable seat depth for up to 12 hours of comfort per session, and even a footrest for reclining if you so wish. The C7 Max is tailor-made for superior lumbar support, focusing on the sacrum, that's the tailbone, for a more targeted approach. This chair is perfect for all your desk-bound activities, whether it be editing, gaming, reading, or raging. It honestly feels like the chair conforms to you rather than the other way around. Any adjustment, any position I want, the chair can do it. FlexiSpot is offering a 30-day risk-free trial period and a 10-year warranty with direct replacement for damaged parts. You can visit their website and use my code C750 to get $50 off your first purchase. Also check out their newly launched C7 Morpher, which features a complete upgrade to the lumbar support and upper backrest, or their C5 chair for a more budget-friendly option. So don't be down, sit down with the FlexiSpot C7 Max. If you want to buy that slogan from me, I'm amenable to that. Far from being a self-made child prodigy success story, Gloria's publishing ambitions were fueled by her father, Dr. Günter Tesch, a religious writer and musician from Germany who immigrated to the US and adopted the name Gerry, potentially in response to being under investigation for charity fraud in the fatherland. Yet another casualty of the intersection between evangelism and money. You just never expect this to happen to a man of God. And within his young daughter Gloria, Gerry saw another potential profiteering avenue. While her mother, Marina, provided the cover art and illustrations, Gerry formed his own vanity publisher, Liberty's Book Press, and poured his potentially unscrupulously acquired wealth into a masturbatory marketing campaign to push his daughter as the next big thing in literature. Book signings, public access slots, a newsletter, even a fully produced cinematic trailer.
I am here to kill you! Take your land and your head!
Oh, come on, this isn't Maradonia, this is the porn parody. The Sword in My Stone.
Why have we been brought into this totally different world?
I think it's because you bowled a strike.
Nice throw!
Let the adventure begin!
What the fuck did I just witness? A microwave reptilian who sounds like if Isma got kicked in the balls. How is it that a creature can be both incredibly disturbing yet profoundly uninteresting at the same time? As awful as it was, this trailer was tied into a promotional video that actually aired on the 2005 comedy series Celebrity Soup, hosted by world-renowned television presenter Kyle Kendrick. No, I'm kidding, that was a fucking lie. What you're looking at is a staged production with actors and scripted lines, uploaded to the Maradonia Video YouTube channel.
Gloria Tesch is the world's youngest novelist. At the age of 15, she has already written 8 novels.
My daughter's 10, and actually this is one of the only books I can get her to read. She is so excited about this book and author.
She signed my books. See?
So, what's in the books themselves that makes them so appealing?
For me, it was the characters. My favorite characters are Maya and Joey.
Yes. Characters are important if you want to make your book appealing. Take it from me. I put characters in my work all the time. Some call me insane. Some insist I'm not a real writer. But it's all about pushing the limits. Taking everything you thought you knew about the craft and turning it on its head. Believe it or not, I might incorporate themes. Gasp you may, but the sun sets with a whisper on the realm of the Luddite.
Some people are even asking for autographs in the most precarious of places.
His penis. Oh. Still pretty creepy.
Some people are even coming out dressed as characters from the books.
I like how this is framed as even weirder than people asking to get their body parts signed. You're wearing a $15 cloak from Spirit Halloween? Get out of my sight, you freak. I'm literally trying to shove this pen up my ass.
It's amazing we can't even keep the books on the shelves. They're flying out of here like nothing.
Okay, time out. In all seriousness, if you're a self-published author, there's no way you're actually getting your books in stores. Much less having them fly off the shelves. If you're lucky, a local shop might host a book signing event for a few hours, and that's assuming you can drum up enough interest to make it look like you're important and worthwhile, which is why these promotional photographs in particular are so ridiculous. To a casual observer, this might seem impressive. Wow, look, her books were stocked in actual bookstores. Until you look closer and see that Maradonia has somehow occupied both the number 1, 2, and 3 bestseller slots. I guess if you're not first, you really are last, since first will literally defy the laws of mathematics and usurp numerical designation. Honestly, it's hard enough out there without grifters like Gerry Tesch just cementing lies into tape and distributing them en masse. And speaking of lies,
what's next for the world's youngest novelist? You guessed it, motion pictures. Moguls from New York to Hollywood are weighing in, and I am told there are offers already on the table.
meant for you.
This is what you bring me? This is garbage. Can't you see I'm busy?
This is porn. You cannot convince me that they didn't hire a film crew that specialized in porn to shoot this. Let's be real though, porn's probably less shameful than appearing in this thing. Needless to say, as the general public caught wind of Gerry Tesch's tactics, their reaction was predictable. They saw right through the manufactured hype, and online discourse flared in response, all of it mocking and derisive. The Tesches went into damage control mode, from releasing statements retroactively casting the promotional video as comic satire, to pushing people who worked on the book to leave glowing reviews, to flat out smearing other authors who legitimately published at younger ages than Gloria. For her part, Gloria, who was still a young teenager, also joined the fray. Alongside the Yahoo Answers stint, she would fight critics across various forums and review pages with all the intellectual conviction a sheltered teen girl could muster. Dear ugly fat boy, Gloria Tesch loved it when you criticized her story. And, plus, how could you criticize a book which you never read before? Ha 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 ha. And it was I who wrote that comment on your stupid motherfucking page, haha. You're one stupid little gay ass. I emailed it to her and she was laughing her ass off because criticism made her get money. Keep it coming. Don't get me wrong, child. Her book is phenomenal. Her story is amazing. Not her grammar or spelling. And, plus, she wrote the beginning when she was 11. You will be ashamed of yourself when you read her whole book, and not the worst part of it, shitbag. By the way, I'd love to see your fat jelly rolls flabber around in a parody of an upcoming motion picture film. You will die of embarrassment. Ha 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 ha. You know those commercials that offer restitution for anyone affected by Camp Lejeune's tap water? I feel like we need one of those for anyone who had to read a comment written by a child on the internet. I wasn't even the intended recipient, yet I feel like I'm owed reparations. And those who actually read Maradonia and the Seven Bridges had no less critical things to say. The book, as to be expected from an inexperienced preteen, was derivative, nonsensical, tonally inconsistent, poorly composited, and might have benefited from having an honest-to-God sea cucumber look it over than its alleged editor. You have to show me your editing license upon request, Leah. It's the law. As the years dragged on, Gerry would grow even harsher in his offensive defense, going so far as to abuse YouTube's copyright system and take down several videos critical of Maradonia and its author, most notably the expose by writer and YouTuber Swank Ivy, who would re-upload the video, replacing any and all images of Gloria and her book with poorly drawn MS Paint art. That's pretty funny. And with that, we're gonna take a break from the tale of the Tesches and get to the actual book. Mild spoiler for the end of the video, but the Maradonia books were all pulled from print and ebook platforms around 2018, so the only copies that exist are rare, pre-owned, and often go for high prices. But, in the year of our Lord, 2026, I managed to acquire my own copy of Maradonia and the Seven Bridges. Holy Jesus. Look at this thing. It's a Bible with a Harvey Dent Medusa on the front cover. Wars have been won with lighter artillery than this. But how does it compare to my copy of Stephen King's It? Nope. King reigns supreme. You shall forever be my rock, my cornerstone. Literally, I bet you could support a small building. Now, here's the kicker. Look at the size of the font in It. Now look at the size of the font in Maradonia. Hello! We've got the jitterbug of fantasy novels right here. Yeah, look how amazing it is that a preteen girl wrote this huge-ass book. Just ignore the actual in-page text that has its own zip code. And to really hammer in the contrast, Stephen King's It has around 440,000 words, and Maradonia and the Seven Bridges is estimated to have around 60,000, which is on the fringes of the low end for a novel, and technically impressive for a first-time writer. But it's still incredibly deceptive to pass this off as some dense, magnificent tome via printing it a certain way. So despite its formidable girth, actually reading it shouldn't take that long in theory. Right? One more thing I forgot to mention about this particular copy. It's special, because if the seller is to be believed, then this copy was signed by Gloria Tesch herself on October 7th, 2008. This would only be better if Gloria had signed my forehead. It's not like there isn't enough space there. Oh look, a fantasy map. We've got Tesario, Soleto, Harmon, Zora, we got fucking Zora, the Tiger River, Nissan Falls, Pool, Glacier, High Plateau, it's called that because it's high, Lake Lagoon, obviously bordering the sacred meadow fields, Coastland. Okay, you can't just take a compound word, make it 2 words, and expect it to be a 3-dimensional place. The cartographer was clearly exhausted after a long day of mapping fantasy realms and was like,
What shall I call the coastland? I guess that's fine.
For absolutely no reason whatsoever, let's read the preface in its entirety. One November morning in Oceanside, a mysterious beach was found in a forbidden area. 15-year-old Maya and her 14-year-old brother Joey noticed a gap in the fence of a government-owned property. That's when they found the entrance to a cave. Soon they discovered that this cave led to a tunnel system which opened up to a different world. They found a world between the worlds, the land of Maradonia. The reason I love this preface so much is because from these 70 words alone, we can jumpstart a running list of writing and technical errors in this book. Arbitrary capitalization, misused quotation marks, inappropriately emphatic font choices, liberal use of exclamation points, aggressive lack of subtlety and tact. The list is gonna grow. So the story begins in medias res. Ooh, fancy. We see a council of villains gathered at the palace of the Evil Empire. Really? Who's their leader? Baron von Bad? They only have the most antagonistically medieval-sounding names, such as King Apollyon, whose name is only slightly less silly than Baron von Bad, Abaddon, Pluton, Aruses, Gertrude. Seriously? Apollyon, Abaddon, Pluton, Aruses, Gertrude. Some people get confused or even indignant when I call this out. Is it possible for a villainous person to have a non-threatening name? Sure. Does that mean it's effective in fiction? No. Just give your villains cool names. No one's gonna think less of you for it. We must stop the genocidal, cannibalistic maniac from taking over the world. Robert. Although I will admit, until Karen came into prominence, Gertrude is probably the most cursed female name in history, so maybe Gloria was onto something. My apologies to anyone named Gertrude. They're discussing a recent scrape with the 2 heroes of the prophecy, Maya and Joey, and reveal that they have become invincible due to bathing in a pool of blood. What? No, cold opens are supposed to intrigue the reader and hint at what's to come, not spoil pivotal plot points. You haven't set a fire, you've just dumped water on the fire pit. Wait, why am I acting like this is supposed to be legitimate critique? Let's get back to the stupid. Finally, we get to chapter 1 and... oh my lord. Yes, every single chapter header has a custom illustration that goes with it, provided by Gloria's mother. Sometimes the art is decent, even good. Other times it looks like someone trying to draw something from memory. On occasion, it perfectly captures my face reading this book. Sometimes it's hideous, and sometimes I don't know what the fuck is going on. Here, though, for chapter 1, we get what appears to be a, gray alien-contaminated caricature of Gloria Tesch. A self-insert. Haven't seen that before. I don't know what to make of this kid's backpack either. I think there's a few laws of physics being violated here. And... what? What the hell is that on the page? Is that an eyelash? Did a fucking eyelash get in the photocopier? I feel like I'm holding an archaeological relic right now. Does this qualify as a fossil? And is this the only copy that has it? Every copy of Maradonia is personalized. Anyway, siblings Maya and Joey, no last name given, are starting the new year at a new school. Maya is described as tall and very beautiful who stands out in crowds, albeit extremely shy and having difficulty making friends. Aww, poor Gloria. Yeah, poor Gloria. Joey, by contrast, is more impulsive and confident. He also won a nationwide painting poster contest and received commendations from politicians and superintendents and reporters, and even acquired funding for the school library. Bro's literally the poster arc from Calvin and Hobbes. Oh yeah, Maya's an art prodigy too, because I guess Joey just can't be better than her in any way. These two have no personality or defining traits beyond them being teenagers or what the text flat out tells us. Hey, why have the characters show us who they are when God can just say it so? But things aren't easy for Maya as she immediately makes an enemy out of Alana Terrence, primo alpha bitch of the Gothic movement. I never thought I'd see the day when goths were given a sillier treatment than my immortal. But hey, anything's possible in Maradonia. I get the feeling Gloria heard the term Gothic movement from a really bad PSA her parents showed her.
Drab in form but colorful in proclivities, the Gothic movement desires nothing more than the spiritual corruption of your children. Symptoms include antisocial behavior, a fixation on rock music, and the recitations of unchristian poetry. No, that thing is not a vampire, it is your child. But just like a vampire, your child is already dead.
Also, Alana Terrence is very obviously coded to be black. Unfortunately, this will become relevant later on. They get into a fight, and Maya kicks her ass, revealing she's a black belt in karate. I'm not kidding, this is how they reveal it. Maya had never told anyone before in the school that she was a black belt, one of the highest ranked belts in karate. That's super cool, Maya. What else have you not told us? You're an intern at a nuclear physics lab, you run a sanctuary for orphan giraffes. It's amazing all you can do when you just don't tell anyone. Also, her black belt karate moves consist of pulling Alana's hair, sitting on her, and slapping her in the face. Must be the obscure dark art way of the chud. Maya's karate moves win her so much popularity at school, she's invited to a young kid's birthday party at a hotel. If that doesn't tell you what kind of wavelength this story's on, nothing will. It's here where Joey pushes her into a pool and nearly kills her, no, seriously, and she receives a mysterious message, a submerged voice calling her for help. This is accompanied by the arrival of a flock of white doves, so eloquently stated. Maya opened her eyes and looked straight up at the tree above her and saw the tree filled with white doves. Maya couldn't see how many of them were in the tree, but there were doves. I think I'm starting to understand why this book is as thick as it is. The hotel doorman, who is also the lifeguard, has his own perspective. These doves are crazy. They behaved strange, absolutely strange. 3 of them attacked me at the same time when I was standing at the bell captain's desk, close to the poolside, holding the new guest list in my hand. I was just greeting one of our distinguished guests when these birds flew straight through the open doors from the pool area. One of them snatched the guest list out of my hands and 2 others pulled me by my hair. And I don't have too much hair. Anyway, I followed them to the pool because I needed the paper when I saw you drifting underwater. That's when I jumped and dragged you out of the pool. I've never experienced anything like this. I tell you the truth, these birds have saved your life. I'm gonna be real with you all. For as many problems as the book has, all you need to know about the dialogue is that everybody, literally everybody, talks like that. Breathless walls of melodramatic, meandering, ridiculous non sequiturs and info dumps with way too many exclamation points. When you write dialogue for your characters, one useful tip is to ensure that you can tell who's talking without knowing who's talking. The words, the tone, the pacing, the inflections, all of it should reveal as much about the character as anything else. Here, not only can you not tell who's talking, but everyone sounds like a little kid with no concept of inside voices over-explaining how his day went. It gets so freaking exhausting, especially when it goes on for multiple pages. I thought I'd just get it out of the way now, because if I called out every single instance of it in this book, we'd be sitting here long enough to observe evolution. Soon after this, the doves lead Maya and Joey to the preface beach with the no trespassing sign. Joey convinces Maya to join him in crossing over. Let's go there, Joey said. Yeah? How? Maya asked sarcastically. Over the tree, you dumb shit. Shut up and get yo ass over the damn fence. The thing I like about this book is how organic and believable the dialogue is. And what's really funny is that this might actually be close to how teenage siblings talk to each other, but not once does Joey ever curse at his sister so aggressively, nor does he slip into gangsta mode. You just know 12-year-old Gloria felt so edgy typing curse words into her manuscript, yet so elated at the thought of getting a free pass because she was making art. Anyway, they pack their bags to explore the area and find a cave, where Maya is smitten by all the stalagmites. It's so telling of amateur writing when you can just pinpoint exactly where certain elements came from. In this case, it was what Gloria learned in school the week earlier. She even kind of admits it right here. The word stalagmite appears 10 times in the span of 3 pages. Why don't you just marry the damn things? Then an absolutely incredible and mysterious event, which both of them could not explain, happens. Because it literally says so in the book. An earthquake opens a fissure in the rock, and they finally enter the fabled land of Maradonia. And if you thought the real world in this book was 11 kinds of fucked up, it still is. But Maradonia is a realm where the fuckery is baked into the magical fabric. For according to a talking grasshopper whom Maya nearly kills when she trips and falls on it, every living creature in this world has a soul, and everything that lives has eyes and ears and a voice.
Don't forget platitudinous.
According to Maya, this dubious proclamation automatically makes the grasshopper smarter than her science teacher. Somehow I don't think that's an issue with the teacher. They then encounter a giant talking toad named Oraculus who drops an earth-shattering bombshell. Maya and Joey are 2 siblings from a hallowed prophecy, destined to save Maradonia from the forces of evil, known to all as the Encouragers. The Encouragers? That's the title for these omnipotent harbingers of hope? What do? Oh, they encourage people? How epic and dignified. Makes the frickin' Get Along gang sound like the Delta Force. Also, can I just say that I hate prophecy tropes? Doesn't it kind of curb the suspense when it's already been foretold that the heroes will succeed? At least Percy Jackson's prophecies were riddled with double meaning, so you didn't know exactly what was gonna happen. On the other hand, there's things like,
there is a prophecy. Blackbeard will meet his death at the hands of a one-legged man.
oh no, he got killed by a one-legged man. Maya finds their designation as ridiculous as the reader does, as she experiences a serious breakdown at this moment. Shoot me. She goes on a multi-page spiel about how they can't possibly be the Encouragers, that they're only lame teenagers. So lame, in fact, that when she was caught holding hands with a boy, her father banned the house from having internet. Did the book get a little too personal again? Or is this just another instance of preteens not knowing how things work? Either way, I blame Leah the editor for this. The world of Maradonia doesn't really stand out from others like it, other than the sky having orange and yellow stripes, no doubt a result of chemtrails. Otherwise, it's a bland mix of Narnia and every vaguely Western European fantasy realm ever made, with brief flashes of Greek mythology, Germanic folklore, and biblical allusions. You can spend 1,000 years in Maradonia and only a day will pass in the real world, which is a reference to how time seems to slow down when reading this book. There's a character named Dionysus, for literally no reason, who also happens to be one member of a quartet of guardians modeled after the Christian Tetramorph. There's a random reference to Brunhilde, there's invisibility hats called Tarncaps, an explosive superweapon called Schwarzpulver, you know, because the Tesches are German. Ich bin der Wuten! There's even an education book of light, which is just paraphrased passages from the Gospel of Luke. Did I say biblical allusions? I meant the actual fucking Bible. Maradonia is split into 2 kingdoms. One, the Evil Empire, the very bad and morally bankrupt realm of power, wealth, and self-worship, ruled by the evil king Apollyon and a loose oligarch of demons and creatures collectively known as the powers, the principalities, and the rulers. This mouthful of a phrase appears so often in the text it's like recurrent trauma. And of course, it was also derived from the Bible. You know, why don't we just pull every Bible from circulation and replace them with copies of this book? There's more scripture in here than scripture. Also, they have flying saucers. This is apparently the explanation for UFO sightings in the real world. All of a sudden, this guy sounds credible. And if that's not evil enough, at one point the bad guys sing a pagan hymn to Mother Earth. Mother Earth, Mother Earth, we bless you, we adore you, we give you thanks. You are our mother. You nurture us and you provide for us. Mother Earth, Mother Earth, we bless you, we adore you, and we give you thanks. How dare the evil empire not recognize the Christian God as the one true God? Only ruthless conquest can make this right. And then there's the very good and morally just realm, the Kingdom of Light. Ruled by King Astrodolus and his armies, wielding the virtues of peace, understanding, and knowledge. There's an omnipotent, benevolent figure named King Ruach, who apparently induced a separation of powers between the 2 kingdoms by throwing the evil empire's castle and the mountain it resided on into a lake, turning its waters into blood. What a dick. Ruach is also a biblical term for the Holy Spirit. One noteworthy thing about King Astradolis is that he attained invulnerability by bathing in said lake of blood, which is obviously a River Styx ripoff. But as to his analogous Achilles heel, get this. A leaf landed on his shoulder before he submerged, leaving that one part vulnerable. This entire mythology is based off coincidence and bullshit. Like, what would have been so difficult about thinking of a stipulation, a thematic trade-off that makes sense? No, a leaf. This stupidly overpowered magic system, hamstrung by a fucking leaf. Also, speaking of which, every other body of water in Maradonia is referred to as a fjord. I can only assume Gloria learned a new word that day and thought it sounded really, really cool. The water level over the fjord with the flat stones was low. No, it wasn't, Gloria! Anyway, back to Maya and Joey. I say that with great reluctance. They encounter other talking animals, such as Arabella, the snake, who's a spy, because the chapter title designates her so. Why? The doves also make a comeback, their leader being named Libertine. Does she know? There's also an eagle covered with eyes named Sagitta, whose gender is inconsistent. This book's progressive, and it's thanks to this loquacious menagerie that we learn about the titular 7 bridges. 7 tests the encouragers must overcome if they wish to fulfill their destiny. They already passed the first test, which was resisting Arabella's lies, even though they were just flat out told by Libertine that Arabella was a spy. After Maya and Joey are charged with their sacred designation, they continue their epic quest to find the plot. No, really, so much disconnected nonsense happens between then and something actually important happening that's never dwelled on for longer than a few seconds. Here's a list. Joey decapitates a different snake using a heavy-duty kitchen knife. Libertine and the doves are likened to little kamikaze bombers. Stay classy, Gloria. Maya screams at the top of her lunges. They have a long conversation about several issues. They encounter a literal iron curtain and dig a tunnel underneath it with sticks. They breeze through a good chunk of the 7 bridges, which are basically just one-off obstacles and fetch quests that do not merit attention. I will highlight one encounter where they meet a traveling caravan of hypnotic musicians and evil fairies, led by the aforementioned Gertrude, called the Wagons of El Dorado. I hate how this book makes no sense yet makes perfect sense at the same time. They're driven by a herd of enslaved unicorns who are so upset that they're depicted crying. This book is hilarious. The wagons are filled with toys and foodstuffs and electronics and concert tickets. What? Producing a narcotic effect described as a liberation of the soul, like the taste of honey or balm on a hurting wound. What the fuck? Where did that come from? There is no way that appeared in the same book that later describes a character as a very tall, skinny, and very, very old man. So I looked it up, and I'm 85% sure it was a paraphrased verse from the book of Proverbs. Oh, for fuck's sake. Even Jesus would say there's too much religion here. Maya is able to resist Gertrude's pull, declaring in so many words that the caravan are evil wolves in sheepskins. And then Sagitta the eagle swoops down and saves the day. Also Lord of the Rings. Finally, Maya and Joey encounter the Maradonians, led by their village elder, Montesalem, the aforementioned very tall, skinny, and very, very old man, who welcome them and immediately promote them to be the commanders of their army. It's at this point I should emphasize we really don't know what's so special about Maya and Joey. Being the chosen ones is one thing, but you have to actually prove there's something extraordinary about you. Alongside their lack of personalities, Maya and Joey are not physically strong, they don't have any special powers, no unique insight, apart from an abundance of faith and imagination. Yeah, because faith and imagination are scant resources in a realm with talking grasshoppers and weeping slave unicorns. At no point in the story do Maya and Joey say or do anything that the Maradonians couldn't have done so themselves. The conclusions they reach are obvious, the motivational speeches they give are cliched, and the missions they embark on would just be another Tuesday for an average soldier. I mean, Maya doesn't even use her black belt karate moves again. I guess hair pulling and sitting on the enemy doesn't come across very encouraging. This sentiment is echoed by the former commander whom they unceremoniously ousted, named Justin. Oh, for God's sake. What do we got? Oraculus, Astradolis, Sagitta, Montesalem. Justin. Look, I'm sorry, but if I were conscripted into the army of Justin, I don't care if he were the prehistoric bastard spawn of Rambo and Doomsday, there is no way I'm taking that man seriously. My apologies to anyone named Justin. Justin is so affronted by 2 literal children commandeering his army that he plots to feed them poisoned mangoes and regain control. Honestly, valid. But thanks to a convenient warning by Libertine, Joey catches on to Justin's ruse and tells him to eat the mangoes himself in front of everyone. And oh my god, this motherfucker actually does it. Because he'd rather die with dignity. Or something. Justin saw no other way out of this dilemma except to eat the fruit, and so he took one of the fruits and gobbled it up within a couple of moments. Still smiling, he fell down, full length, face down on the sandy beach ground and died. Wow. Funniest death in fiction. Like, you may have topped John Voight in Anaconda. How dare Justin even think of doubting the self-evident mercy and wisdom of the encouragers? I'd rather die myself than ask valid questions. And what is the big takeaway upon seeing this absurdly tragic scene unfold? Food affects your mood. That does it! Oh, my head. God, that actually kind of freaking hurt. Jesus. So once Maya and Joey are put in command of the armies of Maradonia, they immediately make their presence known. Joey's first order is to command the exhausted, dehydrated soldiers to take a drink from the lagoon, but only take a drink, not bathe in it or do anything else, which is how he determines loyalty. First, dick move because the text says they hadn't eaten or drank in 3 days. Second, this is just a reskin test of the water from the Book of Judges. I mean, I might as well at this point, right? Fucking Joey also asks, why is it that they always attack in groups? What? That's what an army is, dumbass! It's literally when you attack in groups, you houseplant! The other thing about the Maradonians, and pretty much every character in this book, is that everyone talks in motivational quotes. And when I say motivational quotes, I mean things that were copy and pasted from outside sources and put in italics and quotation marks. Greatness lies not in being strong. Greatness lies in the right use of strength. If you are afraid and you want to avoid criticism, do nothing, say nothing, and be nothing. I know I cannot escape the responsibilities of tomorrow by avoiding them today. All glory comes from daring to begin. Be careful what you wish for. Wait, why is that italicized? The man who wants to lead the orchestra must turn his back to the crowd. A worried person sees a problem and a concerned person solves a problem. Dreams are the touchstones of our character. Hey, here's a quote for you. Fuck off. Half of this book is just someone else's words or ideas. It's like the novel of Theseus. At what point does it stop becoming Maradonia and become something else entirely? Is this the so-called inspiration and awesome ideas her brother Jonathan provided? I think the babblings of baby brother Benjamin would have proven a better source. At least they'd be wholly original. And it's at this point, as they integrate among the Maradonians, that I must remind you, the viewer, of Alana Terrence, and the thing that I warned you would become relevant later on. This book's really weird about race. One of the Maradonian army officers, a man named Goran, is described as a famous black leader and a descendant of the Black Tribe. Oh great, it's one of those books. Right after this, Gertrude attacks the Maradonians and attempts sacrificing Maya and Joey in exchange for the villagers' lives, in a chapter called The Human Sacrifice Offering, which is the 7th and final bridge, by the way. And she's accompanied by her other best friend, Sierra, who is the most beautiful black person in their kingdom. And then Gertrude straight up calls Goran a monkey. Look at this little monkey. He can even think and speak. All right. How do I come at this delicately? I beseech thee, Quan Mills, as I venture into these wilds, bestow upon me thy infinite urban wisdom, so that I may not say something completely stupid. And if not thy grace, then thy mercy. Ratchet-ass bitch. So, from what I've gathered, there's no evidence of anyone on Team Tesch saying or doing anything racist. Like, nothing that would hold up in court. And just because you portray certain things in a fictional story doesn't mean you espouse them. Blood Meridian drops the N-bomb like every 3 pages, yet Cormac McCarthy isn't a racist as far as I know. But Gloria Tesch was a sheltered 12-year-old with no writing tact. And considering how she so obviously incorporates elements from her life into this book, I don't feel inclined to give her too much credit. Gloria goes to great lengths to distinguish Goran as a capable and respectable black man, to specifically call other black characters beautiful, and to show just how evil racism is by having an antagonist, in this case Gertrude, use such blatantly racially charged language. Gloria's with it, you know? And yet her hand will slip when it comes to other things, like Alana Terrence, a character who only serves to be a nasty bully, whose dialogue is clearly trying to emulate AAVE. It reminds me of how Derek Savage went out of his way to portray evil skinheads in his book, despite how coarsely his book depicted race. Or how Grace Ann Parsons, assuming she were real, portrayed canonically black Dean Thomas as overly articulate and well-mannered, as if he were a prop used to signal a defiance of common stereotypes. But considering who wrote this, I'd sooner blame the environment Gloria was raised in. Specifically, her parents. And I wouldn't call it like Ku Klux Klan racism. Rather this attitude some affluent, white, often religious demographics have towards non-white people that treats them as though they were different or exotic or of special interest. They can tell themselves all they want that it isn't racist, they can virtue signal about it all they want in public, but there'll still always be that subconscious separation in their minds that leaves them liable to stereotyping. Not really Birth of a Nation, closer to Get Out, but it's still a problematic mindset to have. And of course, all that trickles down onto children. We have to remind ourselves that Gloria was 12 when she wrote this book, and deeply entrenched in her parents' shroud. There's no evidence that she kept any of these views when she grew up, and I want to believe that if she has any regrets about her first book, the way she portrayed race was one of them. All I'm saying is, no wonder Maradonia wasn't made into a theme park.
Did you know that Maradonia will be a Maradonia Adventure Park one day? It's still in the first part of the development, so
Sure.
I can't tell the...
I'll amend this section briefly. I forgot to mention that Gloria apparently dropped at least one N-bomb when she was fighting with people who left bad reviews of Maradonia. And while this is still bad, I'd more chalk it up to an emotionally incontinent teenager trying to be edgy than, like, actual racism. I think my point still stands. So what else happens? Well, Maya gets a dog, a golden retriever named Phoenix, who adds nothing to the plot, except to die a few hundred pages later because he laps up poisoned wine meant for Maya. I can't believe this book is a valid entry for doesthedogdie.com. They also get unicorns. Because of course they do. Puppies, unicorns, does she get a kitten next? And once again, the unicorns have an amazing naming convention. Phaina, Imperator, Blackpool, Mighty Bronco. That's not a name for a unicorn, it's a, oh wow. It actually is a Tonka truck. I was gonna make a joke about how Mighty Bronco sounds like a Tonka truck, but reality beat me to the punch. They also travel to the Lake of Blood, bathe in it, and become invincible. No meddlesome leaves involved. Maya and Joey just cannot have any real problems because it doesn't make for compelling fantasy. That's how this works, right? Oh, and remember the inciting incident that started this whole mess? Maya hearing a voice calling to her from that hotel pool? Turns out those were mermaids, who charged Maya and Joey with a side quest of liberating their queen, Aqua Marisha, from King Apollyon's evil water park. Look, I'm trying not to be too critical of what's essentially a stream of consciousness from a 12-year-old girl, but you know how you actually kinda like playing pretend with your nieces or siblings or whoever until it becomes absolutely mind-numbing and exhausting and you're trying to find an excuse to get out of it? Reading this book is like that. Except I never liked it to begin with. So yeah, there's this whole ass B-plot where Maya and Joey travel to Apollyon's underworld lair to liberate the captive mermaids. This hellland contains a burning lake that smells of cooking oil, seriously that's what it says, a literal Hell's Kitchen, and a frankly disturbing account of the poor souls condemned to it. Only one drop of water for me, Please, please, dip your finger into the water and give me the drop of water which hangs on your fingertip and cool my tongue. Only one drop of water in this eternal pain. I could afford to drink the most expensive wine in the kingdom, and now I have to beg for a drop of water. One drop of water. Please, please. Once again, I'm just gonna assume this was stolen from someplace better. They do rescue the mermaids, and yes, you're right, this adds nothing to the already scatterbrained plot. The only funny thing that happens is one of the mermaids, named Marabou, is apparently a chatterbox, which Maya likens to a diarrhea of words, which is ironic because no one in Maradonia shuts the fuck up. Eventually, Marabou annoys Queen Aquamarisha so much she smacks her in the face, at which Joey comments, "Bitch slap!" Real freaking encouraging, guy. Speaking of Joey, another mermaid named Morgana thinks he's hot. Wait a minute, Morgana. He is not a man. He's still a boy. He's only 14. Who cares? I see him as a man. Joey also steals a key to the underworld, which is basically a laser gun. Yeah, just go with it. And he nearly burns down a forest with it for literally no reason. The key shall be a defender of the defenseless and will only be used to defend us. And remember the Schwarzpulver I mentioned? Don't worry, this is the last subplot we're going to talk about. The super weapon that translates from German to black powder. It's just bombs. The troops of the Empire have developed a new powder which they call Schwarzpulver. They fill this powder with funnels into canisters, and if they would place these canisters directly under our walls and ignite them or launch them with a fire arrow, they would blow all of our walls away. You're telling me the evil Empire has honest-to-God flying saucers, but they only just invented bombs? What were the UFOs dropping on their targets? Spears? What's even stupider, however, is that the evil Empire stores the highly combustible Schwarzpulver in wooden buildings. Are you kidding me? How did the evil Empire ever get competent enough to conquer a flower garden? Isn't that one of the classic blunders? Land war in Asia, don't go against a Sicilian, don't store explosives in wooden buildings. The only reason that one never made it in is because everyone blew up before they could write it down. It's during the sequence where I'm reminded Gloria also likes introducing new scenes or actions with the phrase, "and so it was." Did I mention this book draws inspiration from the Bible? Using the aforementioned tarn caps, Maya and Joey sneak into the Schwarzpulver buildings and indeed cause them to explode with weak explosions. Oh my god, this dumbass book actually did it. It unironically said the phrase, "exploded with a weak explosion," before Sonic High School. Maradonia predicted shitpost writing before the shitpost actually happened. Trans-fucking-cendent. Following their decisive victory against the evil Empire, finally, it's time for the Encouragers to go home. After the usual pomp and circumstance, they basically do a protracted farewell tour through every single destination they pass to reach the Maradonians, with a cameo appearance by Oraculus, who delivers another prophecy advertising future books in the Maradonia saga. Finally, after all that, Maya and Joey cross back over into the real world. And of course, what is Joey's grand proclamation on the heels of their fantastic adventure? Wow, what a journey! You can say that again. And that was Maradonia and the Seven Bridges, an aimless, amateur slog of a novel that somehow wound up even crazier outside a 12-year-old girl's head. On one hand, it seems admirable that a preteen managed to sit down and write an entire epic fantasy novel that had some semblance of world building and mythology. But for a product so riddled with issues, so problematic and delusionally self-assured, it did not merit the inflated attention it received. And believe me when I say, for as scatterbrained and unfocused as this review may have seemed, there are so many more writing errors and exhaustive subplots and pointless side characters that I just didn't cover. All the stuff I left out could fill a follow-up video. In retrospect, it's a little disheartening that all the drama you heard about earlier, the overblown hype, the wasted money, the unethical behavior, was for that. Like, it almost makes this video seem like a waste of time. Almost. So now that you know exactly what all the fuss was about, what happened afterward? Well, before we get to the end of this asinine saga, it's worth mentioning Gloria's other ventures. Alongside the floundering author journey, she would try her hand at music, adopting a persona named Goldilocks, with such bangers as The Three Bears.
Where my three bears at? Too hot, too cold. Well, I'm changing up the game, pulling up in gold. They call me Goldilocks, but I can't deny I got a gold whip, I could take you for a ride.
Who the fuck approved this? Gloria as this oddly sexualized fairy tale character alongside 3 young boys dressed as Snapchat filters? This presumably went through a pipeline. Or maybe it didn't. The only approval this got was a committee of men, all named Benjamin. There's also the timeless classic, Convertible, which is largely Gloria showing off her, assets, and driving around with her friends in a car.
Hey, wanna watch me go all fast, wanna watch me go all slow. My girl's not turned up, throw our hands up like whoa.
This wrapping is so white it makes snow look gray. On a related note, Gloria would also take up modeling. I'd say she was good at it. It might be my ignorance talking, but if you just looked like that, then you're kind of already 3/4 of the way there. She also made an appearance on the runway at the 2012 Republican National Convention. Stay classy, America. None of these really went anywhere, obviously. You're not going to hear the 3 bears on TikTok edits anytime soon. But by 2017, 10 years after the book's formal launch, the Tesches were essentially bankrupt. Maradonia had swallowed their money and shat out shit. None of its creative offshoots gained any semblance of fruition, the IP had become an internet laughingstock, and the family had broken up and their home was foreclosed on. How much of this was related to Gerry's arrest for domestic battery back in 2012 is unknown. With Maradonia proving to be a bust, Gloria and Gerry would attempt one more get-rich-quick scheme. Gerry turned back to God and produced religious web sermons, peddling DVDs and asking for donations, and Gloria would promote them on their new YouTube channel, The Arc TV.
I had bubbles, big bones, all over my face, my body, my breasts, my legs, everywhere. I felt miserable.
Based on that subscriber count, this new venture was dead in the water before it even burst from the womb. And perhaps that's too apt a term, for only several months later, in March of 2018, Dr. Gerry Tesch passed away from heart complications. And with his death also came the death of Maradonia. All the books were pulled from print and ebook platforms, websites and online campaigns were deleted. Gloria Tesch had effectively disowned and memory-holed her own fantasy world. And who could blame her? If you were a young girl with a dream, and your father poured money and resources into making that dream a reality, tying your formative years into being the face of this skinwalker of a marketing campaign, besieged with affirmation from your father and vitriol from the general public, only for the veil to collapse once the money ran dry and your father ceased being a part of your life, I'd probably set it all on fire myself. From what I can tell, Gloria has since grown into a relatively stable life, though these exhibitions of luxury and tropical excursions admittedly ring alarm bells, considering the stereotype of influencers faking their wealth for social media clout. But I have no way of proving this, so it's whatever. You might be wondering if, with her father out of the picture, Gloria ever picked up writing again. Well, she didn't. Sophia Nova did. That's right, in 2020, Gloria Tesch adopted the pen name Sophia Nova and self-published a new book completely unrelated to Maradonia, The Secret of Moon Lake.
This book is super beautifully illustrated. I was gonna say written, but then I sounded conceited, so I'm not gonna say that.
4 years later, she would go to reboot Maradonia, with Maradonia and the Guardians of the Portal, this time released through Mascot Books, which is by all definitions, a vanity publisher. And trust me, we'll also be covering this in time. What's interesting about Guardians of the Portal, however, is that Gloria seems to be attempting a little revisionist history around it. On her Sophia Nova author website, she describes the journey behind Maradonia, a dream that started when she was 15 years old. Wait, 15? Why would you make that up? Isn't it more impressive to say you were 13? Like, actually really 13, when you published 7 Bridges? Unless she's trying to divert from all those claims of being the world's youngest novelist by giving a different number.
Suspicious.
The entire 7 Bridges arc is recounted as a simple, straightforward campaign of book signings and speeches. Among the attached photographs, one alleges to portray Sophia Nova in 2010, despite the fact you can clearly see the name Gloria Tesch on the book she's holding. The family drama, the wasted money, the failed movie adaptation, the internet shitstorm. her real name, none of it's even hinted at. It's as if you were to look at this page without any prior context, you'd be convinced this was an everyday girl named Sophia Nova finally realizing her dream of bringing her fantasy world to life, without any additional baggage. And honestly, I can't blame her for that. But that leaves one of two possibilities. Either Gloria is fully aware of how damaging her formative years were and is trying to reinvent herself, albeit not very successfully considering how big a footprint the Tesches left, or, which is probable, but 1,000 times more depressing, Gloria does not grasp how damaging her formative years were and thinks she can just simply start over, like picking a new save slot in a video game. I'm not Gloria Tesch. I've never experienced anything like what she's been through, but part of me believes that owning up to your past and showing a clear indication of wanting to move on from it is very important for personal growth. Obviously, Gloria is not obligated to disclose her past to anyone, but it is out there for anyone who decides to do a little digging, and it does not paint a pretty picture. Gloria was definitely coddled, delusional, and emotionally immature as a kid, and grew up into an adult who's full of herself, to say the least. But Maradonia would have probably stayed within the imagination of a 12-year-old girl, if not for Gerry Tesch. The legacy of Maradonia is what it is because of her father. He was, in my opinion, a man motivated by greed who put pursuing fame and notoriety over his daughter's well-being. Gloria simply wasn't talented enough to merit such attention, nor mature enough to handle it. And putting her through all that was a monumental disservice to a young girl still trying to figure things out. Because the true definition of love is not making someone happy. It's doing what's best for them. And whatever Gerry Tesch did for his daughter was not what was best for her. And yet, I feel like there's something missing. A big piece of the puzzle that deserves a closer look. I may have mentioned it earlier, but... oh shit. Hey everyone, thanks for watching. This video was a huge project that took many months to make, and it would not have been possible without the efforts of others before me, whom I'd like to acknowledge. In the current year, a lot of Maradonia discourse and media has been lost to time, but much of it was preserved thanks to Sailor Sloth and his hour-long documentary, which pretty much covered the entire timeline and served as a primary resource for this video. I've linked it in the description, so if you want more Maradonia deep lore, then please check that out. I'd also like to thank Swank Ivy and the folks at Conjugal Felicity for their role in the greater Maradonia struggle all those years ago. We might not have ever known how deep the cesspool truly ran without you guys diving into it. And finally, a shout out to FlexiSpot for sponsoring this video and serving as this channel's first brand partnership opportunity. This video is part 1 of a 3-part series, with part 2 focusing on, as hinted, the film adaptation, Maradonia and the Shadow Empire, followed by part 3, which will review Maradonia and the Guardians of the Portal. As always, I'll update my progress via this channel's community posts, so be on the lookout for news about part 2. But until then, take care, I'll see you all next time.